Today we will try to understand society of post-Mauryan period. The social elements are continuation of the previous tradition, starting from later Vedic tradition. So society means if we want to understand of entire India, the social conditions are combinations of all the factors. Say like Paleolithic, 10,000 BC, 7,000 BC, Neolithic started. We cannot ignore this. And exactly lack of understanding of this only is creating trouble in the present day Indian society in the form of communal tensions. Now, what is this? These set of people, what are the places? For example, Bhimbetka, Didwana. One example, Karnal caves. And these are the people who are living there before Rigveda. Before Rigveda. Before IVC. Before agriculture. Before agriculture means Neolithic. Now, what about those people? For example, Bhimbetka 1 lakh years ago onwards, evidence is there that some people were there. Now, what is happening to those people? One generation, next generation, next generation. And by this time, now we are in 300 or say like 200 BC. By this time period, from 1 lakh years, 1 lakh BC to 200 BC, some people will be there here. But at the same time, it is not that they are isolated. They will interact with this side and this side, this side and this side over a period of time, next generation. As a result, what happens? People from this region also will go under, settle there. Apply the same concept, whatever we applied for early Vedic people, like IVC we are calling, then Aryans, migrations, then mixing is taking place. When we applied for that region, same we need to apply for this region also. And that is how a unique identity will emerge. But overall, Indian geography is in such a way, nature has given these natural frontiers. So it's not about one point here. If you look at the entire location, now this is like a natural frontier. Now this is ocean, Arabian Sea. This is Bay of Bengal. Now this is a Great Wall of India. Natural Great Wall of India. This is how it's like a home. Home is protected with the ocean on three sides. It's like three sides. That's why it is called peninsula. And the other side, Great Wall. In this way, this entire Indian subcontinent gained some kind of identity. But locally, each and every point will undergo this kind of interactions. That's from that point onwards, keep understanding, particularly during post-Mauryan time period, this understanding is very, very important. Now these people are there. One point, number one. After some time, what happened? Neolithic people are like Mehergad. Next generations after generations, they will turn into IVC. One set of culture emerged by 2000 BC. Next, some more major settlements emerged by 2000 BC called OCP. Then here, Ahar culture, Jorvi culture, Deccan culture, South culture, and similarly here, Belan Valley culture. From 5000 BC onwards, settlements appears, and here, Davozeli heading, 1000 BC, agriculture is emerging. Now these are the people, generations after the generations, they were also there. Now new elements are coming. Something like, suppose English education today. Today English education is very, very popular and we are following it. English is dominating Indian society. But before 1600, there was no English. Or in fact, before 1800 also, there was no English in terms of administration and all. It started somewhere. It was also a minor one in 1600s, 1700s, 1800s, when the English speakers or the English administrators, when they gained control over the subcontinent, now the influence of English penetrated deep pockets of India. Apply same thing for different cultures. Go back to here, there is no Sanskrit at this point of time. Now, once Sanskrit emerged as a popular and important language, now Sanskrit appealed to the people. Today, English people went, but English is still there because it appealed to Indians. We are seeing the benefits of it, and that's why we don't want to leave it. And same is the case. There may be people that why we are still using English, why not the local? But if we use only local without by completely discarding English, we will again cut off from the world. That's why we want English also. We want other language also. We don't want to lose other languages. We want that also. We want English also because it is giving connectivity to the world. And same happens everywhere across history, across the timeline. They don't want to lose old one practices, at the same time embrace the new idea. This is what India is all about. V.A. Smith says infinite capacity to assimilate. It has the assimilation capacity. And this is the idea which we need to understand during post-Mauryan time period. This assimilation is going to happen at very large scale during post-Mauryan time period. IVC now, OCP, a new kind of mixture emerged. Now Aryan or Rigvedic, Sanskrit, now Sanskrit ideas spread across India, including Gangetic Valley, Brahmaputra Valley, till Kaveri Valley. That's why first assembly was held under the leadership of Agastya. Agastya mentioned in Mahabharata also, in Ramayana also. So that's how you can see the integration. They continue the old practices, at the same time embrace the new, go together. A unique kind of cultures used to emerge across India. By Mahajanapada time period, by 600 BC to 300 BC, various Mahajanapadas emerged. The cultural integration is going on. When Mauryans entered, 185 BC, this is Pan-India Empire. When it is Pan-India Empire, Gangetic Valley cultures entered deep south, and now deep south Deccan values also enters into Gangetic Valley, Kashmir, Brahmaputra. Now integration started interacting with all people because of the same administration. Like English, like Mauryan administration penetrate. Now that's where by the time of Mauryans, already by the time of Mauryans itself, the social elements were so diverse. Brahmanical ideas or Vedic ideas continue. Next, Buddhist ideas. Next, Jainism principles. Ajivika, Charvaka. These are the only major one which we are talking. What about those hidden, unknown ideas at different pockets? In different pockets, a different kind of idea will survive. Those are also there. But now, how to view this entire society? According to Brahmanical perspective or Vedic perspective, they have given a very simplified version that all the people must be grouped under 4 varnas. That is the idea of Brahmanical idea or Vedic idea or a later Vedic idea. For easy purpose, they visualized, but only when it was given God divinity status, then it created certain issues. According to Brahmanical view, society divided into 4 varnas. That is like a pyramid structure. Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra. This is how 4 varnas, and they given 4 ashramas. People should undergo brahmacharya, grihastha, vanaprastha, and sannyasin. And all people cannot do this. It is the theoretical model. It is the theoretical model. That's why there is a question that the Varna system is more of theoretical than actual description. Society, because society is very complex, multiple levels of interaction is going on. It is simplified theoretical model that for easy purpose, all people divided into 4 varnas, and Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, they were all born from God. Because we human beings are curious in nature, wants to know the answers. Then any kind of natural phenomena, if we don't understand, the easiest answer is to tell that this is the creation of God. That is how it is running. That's how God created in every religion. In Quran also stories are there. In Bible also stories are there. In Vedas also same story. That is the indication of human curiosity. Curiosity to know the truth, to know the reality. But only issue is everyone has their own way of perceiving this reality. If you allow the people to visualize this way, that is called freedom. Freedom of thought, freedom of expression, freedom of visualization. But if you impose one thought, one idea that this is the truth, you have to completely rely on this. Whatever Bible says that is true, nobody should question it. That is where killings used to take place, murders used to take place, and assassinations, persecutions across history. Whatever Quran says, that is true. Others are not true. This kind of idea created persecutions. That is where the problem is there. That's why today we are calling something called secular. We don't want this kind. Let anybody think in their own way. That's what. Now, when it comes to ancient India, what is the story? This is how Brahmanical idea is this. These Brahmanical ideas, the Brahmanical advisors to the kings, they suggest society should be based on this model. Based on this model, something like Quran says, whoever believes, they should believe only one God. That is the model. And ulemas advise the kings, sultans, that everyone should do like this. But will the kings follow? Will the sultans follow? Is it possible? And that is where Ashoka already has given one example that is not possible. When society is having these many ideas, how can I impose on one idea? And based on advice, I can impose, but people will revolt. Again, what is the who has to face the problem? Sultan only in medieval times, kings only in ancient times. That's why when it comes to Indian society, one idea says 4 varnas, 4 ashramas. They advise the kings also to implement this, but when it comes to the implementation, there will be something else. But still, some people used to consider themselves as a follower of this dharma. This is what Brahmanical dharma. And also different books also emerged called Manusmriti, Yajnavalkya Smriti. Text also, Brahmanical text also emerged. And they explain what kind of laws should be there for each varna. Suppose there is a murder. If a murder is committed by Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Shudra, law will be different. Law is different. Because from the point of God, Brahmanas are having different status, Kshatriya have different status, Vaishya different status, Shudra different status. God himself created these differences. Then why king also should not have different laws for a different varna? And today we are discarding this. We want equality before law. Equality before law. And this French Revolution also having a fight against this kind of privileges only. But this is what. And when it comes to society, was it the real? No doubt, this is the Brahmanical text, Manusmriti, Yajnavalkya Smriti. They explain this way, but was it the same way? Always keep questioning that. We are very, very big country. Is it possible that to implement those ideas literally, whatever Manusmriti is saying, literally whatever Yajnavalkya Smriti is saying? That is where our rationality will emerge, because during post-Mauryan time period, let me draw once again. This is where the real difference will come in post-Mauryan time period. Please try to understand this. I'm giving some time for this because this is the reality when it comes to Guptas also, post-Gupta also, Delhi Sultanate also, entire Indian history. Manusmriti is saying this, but who are the rulers who are following Manusmriti in the literal sense? Even let us assume the Kshatriyas who are following Brahmanical ideas, literally, let us consider for some time. Who are these then? For example, let us consider Shungas followed, because they were Brahmanas. Let us assume the reality was something different. Let us assume even if we consider Shatavahanas, because Gautami Putra Shatakarni considered himself true Brahmana, Eka Brahmana. That means a true Brahmana. For some time, let us assume even Shatavahanas had this kind of 4 Varnas strictly implemented, because Brahmanical advisor says Varna Sankara to be stopped. Let us assume. Then what about this area? What about this area where Greeks were there? Then the Greek ruler himself is not part of Brahmanical tradition. Then how can Greek ruler impose that idea on the people? Not possible. Then what about Kushanas? They themselves were not part of it. Then how can they impose that idea on that? Now already Northwest, Kashmir, up to Gangetic Valley, now different rulers, different way. Now when it comes to here, Kharavela was there. He was a follower of Jainism, but Jainism is having a different viewpoint. How can we expect that he rigorously followed Varnas? Next, what about Sangam? And Sangam has a different viewpoint. Then we cannot expect that literally 4 Varnas are following this. Now, what about Northeast? They are just entering into the ideas of the mainstream Brahmanical, Buddhism and Jainism. They are just entering. How can we expect that 4 Varna is there in Northeast exactly? Not possible. Now, what about Shakas here? Shakas themselves were not originally followers of this. Then how can we expect that Shakas and the people of this region followed exactly? This is Parthians, Central Asian migration. So that's how even if we consider if the rulers were following exactly Varna order, after Shungas they were called Kanvas. After new rulers called Kanvas, they were also Brahmanas. Shatavahanas, Brahmanas. After Shatavahanas, Vakatakas emerged. Vakatakas also Brahmanas. But what is the influence of these rulers in this entire land? And that is where that question arises. Do you see this question? The Varna concept, you see this 4.3, Varna concept. The Varna concept may always have been largely a theoretical model and never an actual description of society. Comment in the context of ancient India. Are you able to follow this question? How to just have some idea, visualize entire India, and how far is it possible to have exactly follow this Varna order? Many rulers, many ways. That's where largely a theoretical model, particularly this question since the beginning. That's why I started with Bhimbetka. Now, Bhimbetka people, what Varna they were having? They integrated somewhere. IVC people, what Varna they were having? Something different. Jorvi culture, Ahar culture, OCP culture, what Varna they were having? Different one. That's why it is a largely theoretical framework. When Sanskrit culture emerged, Sanskrit text or Brahmanical text assumed for simplifying this entire social interaction into 4 Varnas. But the actual description is something different. Actual social values are society interacting at a different level. This is one angle. Once you enter into this particular topic in this perspective, then remaining things are going to be easy. Just you need to give the examples. Could you follow this point? All right. Now, apply the same topic, same concept. Apply the same concept when it comes to Guptas. And Guptas themselves were Vaishyas, but they are going to become rulers. Different description of the society, actual description is different. Varna, theoretical model is different. Now, Mauryans, according to Puranas, they were considered as Shudras, but they are the rulers. Something different. Nandas, they were also considered by Puranas as Shudras, but they were the rulers doing Kshatriya duty. Something different, actual different. Theoretical model says Varna order should be there. And so on. And Guptas, now Hunas. And what about Hunas? They were Central Asian tribes. Again, different. So that means if some Hunas were considered as Rajputs, later they are going to become Rajputs. That means Kshatriya. That means at some point of time they integrated. Originally they were not part of 4 Varna, but they were integrated in the Varna. That means that liberality to integrate is there, that aspect is there. That is how in ancient India. This we are going to see more when it comes to post-Mauryan time period. Kushanas are going to integrate, Greeks are going to integrate, Shakas going to integrate, Parthians are going to integrate. When this much interaction is there, that means society is not that rigid as Brahmanical texts are posing. Manusmriti is posing. That's why give the. So this is what actual Dharma Shastras say this one. But actual society many migrations in post-Mauryan period. Next, due to Brahmanical, Buddhist, Jainism influence, many tribes integrated in mainstream. Now, if we consider for some time foreign plus indigenous tribes integration into Varna system. Varna system took place. Now suppose it is the combination Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya and Shudra. For example, Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra. Let us consider a Brahmana married A Brahmana marrying a Brahmana. What could be the next generation? Brahmana, according to existing norms. Now, what about if Brahmana marry Kshatriya? What should be the next generation? What if Brahmana marrying Vaishya? What should be the next generation? Now again, the Dharma Shastras have different interpretation. If Brahmana is a male and female, a different combination will emerge. And if here male and female, again different combination, permutation combination will emerge. A Brahmana and Shudra. Now, what is the next progeny? Now, it is only one Varna. Now, what about Kshatriya? Again Vaishya. And what about Shudra? Possibility is that it may be limited, but at some point of time, at some places, it takes place. Now, this only those people who are following Varna. What about those people who are not following Varna at all? That means freshly integrated. Say like migrants from outside Indian subcontinent. For some time, well, let us consider them as foreign. Now, what about integration of Shudra, Vaishya, Kshatriya, and Brahmana? What kind of progeny? And because of this kind of interaction was going on, a new term emerged. Already this term was there during Mahajanapada time period itself, but now post-Mauryan, this is going to become very dominant feature. Jati, a dominant feature of society. Now this is foreign. And what about in the beginning place, everyone is a tribe. And what about the tribe? What if integration between Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, and a tribe? What should be the next generation? Now you can see at multiple level, complex society, many developments are taking place. It's not as easy as for just 4 Varnas, entire system was there. That's where when it comes to interaction between Varnas and foreign and tribal, integration is a lot different in the ground level than what actual description. This Jati emerged, and within Brahmanas also upper layer. In Brahmana also again vertical, pure Brahmanas, mixed Brahmanas, low Brahmanas, like that emerged. Kshatriyas also, Vaishyas also, Shudras also. A new kind of social element also came called Chandalas, untouchables. Because of this continuous interaction, a new kind of term also emerged for a section, a different group, Chandalas, a separate group. Now this is where Dharma Shastras call Varna Sankara. From the Brahmanical point of view, this is called Kali Yuga, where Dharma order or Dharma, Varna Ashrama Dharma, Varna Ashrama Dharma not followed strictly. Not followed strictly. Varnashrama Dharma not followed strictly, Varna Sankara. From the Brahmanical point of view, it is very not a good time period. But from the Indian administration point of view, from the liberal point of view, it is a great integration era. Great integration era. Now there is a question. Go to Upinder Singh chapter name also. Use the same only. Interaction. Innovation and interaction. Observe this question. The period of Indian history from 3rd century BCE to 5th century BCE was the period of innovation and interaction. How will you react? So this interaction, innovation, new developments, new philosophies are emerging, new culture is emerging, innovation in all the spheres, in economic point of view, in political point of view, that angle is innovation. Interaction, here with respect to society, you focus on this interaction. Could you see this 2017 question? This is the age of interaction because of this kind of development. Great interaction era. That's where this shows many developments are taking place on the ground. Many tribes. That's its respect to Varna Ashrama. Now, what about conditions of women? Women conditions. The family system continues. Until today, it is happening. Next, patriarchal. Patriarchal. Now, because of this society, Varna Ashrama Dharma is not being followed strictly, more restrictions came on women. Danger, as per. That's where you should be very, very careful in writing this sentence because it is not the actual description of entire northeast, south, middle, north, Kashmir, northwest. You have to mention whenever there's danger as per Dharma Shastras. Dharma Shastras. More restrictions. More restrictions came on women. And now people don't want to take any risk of inter-Varna marriage. That's why child marriages also proposed by Dharma Shastras at early age. So they advocated early marriage so that Varna purity maintained. Varna purity maintained. And naturally, when it's child marriage, then polygamy, multiple marriages, Next, widow remarriage not encouraged. Widow remarriage not encouraged. And in fact, Sati reference was there in later Vedic time period itself. Now gradually it is going. When we have inscriptional evidence during Gupta related period in 510 CE, Iran inscription. Iran is in Madhya Pradesh. In Gupta time period, one inscription says about Sati. If one inscription is saying Sati in Gupta time period, that means already by this time, even though we don't have inscriptional evidence, but that practice was also gradually gaining. Widow remarriage not encouraged. Sati practice also might be prevalent. Because in later Vedic period, Sati reference, Gupta Sati reference. So in between possibilities there. And what about the education? Now, what kind of education we can expect in this kind of atmosphere? Now, this is where education means you have to be. And with respect to women also, we have given only one point of view, that is the Dharma Shastra point of view. But what about those people when it comes to foreign women, tribal women who are not integrated? The condition might be different. But one issue why we are not able to discuss with evidence means the story of tribe do not exist. No literary evidence. We cannot. And same is the case with the evidence issue. We will come to know about these people only when they come into interact with the Brahmanical or Buddhist or Jainism. Because today we are able to study these literature. The literature from the Brahmanical point of view survived. Even to know about tribes, even to know about foreign integration, we have to rely on Brahmanical texts. We have to rely on Buddhist texts, Jatakas, other Buddhist texts, to know about tribes also, to know about foreign interaction also. But their original sources we do not have. That's where the challenge will come for the historians, that to interpret in the actual description of tribal society or foreign society. Next, with respect to education, when it comes to Brahmanical, when it comes to Buddhist, when it comes to Jainism, it will change. Brahmanical text says ashrama system. Students have to go to the Gurukul and they have to get studied. When it comes to Buddhist, they have to go to monasteries, Buddhist monasteries. Buddha, Dhamma, Sangam. Buddha, Dhamma and Sangha. And this Sangha, monasteries, there, whoever accepts Buddhism, they get educated. And Jainism monasteries, the students of Jainism followers, they get educated there. Now, what about those who do not follow Brahmanical, those who do not follow Buddhism and Jainism? We do not know, because we do not have any reference. That's where whatever we know about ancient society is one version of one segment of the society, but there will be some segment of the society from which point of view we do not know the evidence. When it comes to ashrama, what Brahmanical students are taught? This Brahmanical means Brahmana students also, Brahmana Varna. Then Kshatriya Varna students also will be there. Vaishya students also. And when it comes to Shudras, ashrama system or education, Gurukul is not allowed. For women also not allowed. Shudra, women not allowed. And why they are not allowed? Because they are not considered not pure. But education is pure. And why education is pure? Because the syllabus. The syllabus talks about 4 Vedas. And 4 Vedas are considered to be the words of God. They are God's words. That's why it has to be preserved very carefully. It should not be given. Very powerful Vedas should not be enter into the hands of those people who cannot handle them. That kind of interpretation, that kind of viewpoint made Shudras and women away from the education system, even though they are part of 4 Varna. Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishyas got this education. Vedas were taught. Epics, Ramayana, Mahabharata was taught. Philosophies were taught. There are different type of philosophies by this time. Sankhya, Nyaya, Yoga, Mimamsa, Vaisheshika, Vedanta. They were taught. Then Vedas and associated means Upanishads were taught. Aranyakas were taught. Brahmanas were taught. This is the syllabus. Now, when this syllabus is going on, now this syllabus talks about 4 Varnas, Dharma, all. They talk about this. In addition to that, astronomy, mathematics, medicine, these subjects are also there. They were also taught. That's why you will not find the difference between a spiritual. Here, Vedas, epics, Upanishads, they are related to spiritual. And astronomy, mathematics, and medicine, they are materialistic. Present day problems and also the next life problems. Spiritual, materialistic subjects. Both go together. That's why a person is a sage also, at the same time he's a scientist also. And same goes to even Buddhism also. Buddhist text, Pali texts, Tripitakas, they were taught there. Sutta Pitaka, the words of Buddha. Vinaya Pitaka, how the Buddhist monasteries must be maintained. Abhidhamma Pitaka, philosophy of Buddhism. Now, during this time period, Jataka stories are also gaining popularity. Buddhist lives, 500 plus lives, Buddha takes birth in different life form. In each and every life form, he teaches some dharma. Some dharma. Now, these are the subjects. And when it comes to Jainism, Tirthankaras, life of Tirthankaras. The Jainism philosophy, it was taught in the monasteries. So this is how. When it comes to education system, it will be. Then education centers are gurukuls. Here Buddhist monasteries and monasteries. And what about, we are talking about Brahmanical Buddhism and Jainism. What about the education system of foreigners? Say like Kushanas initially enters. What should be that? Parthians, Shakas, Greeks, they will have their own respective way of inculcating education. Their own way of inculcating education. And what about the tribes? Their own way. It did not survive, that's why we are not talking. And what about the Sangam? What about the Northeast? That's where when we visualize entire India, our perspective towards our history itself will change. Whatever we know, very limited knowledge. It's not the 100% description of Indian society. That's how different education systems were going on. What about the languages? Brahmanical education comes in Sanskrit language, Pali language, Prakrit language. These are the main languages today we are studying, because some Sanskrit works, Pali works, and Prakrit works survive. Plus Tamil, Sangam area, plus foreign languages, which we do not know. Tribal languages, which we do not know. But gradually, Sanskrit is became a lingua franca, or simply a link language. Like today, English is becoming, like in medieval times, Persian became a link language. Like Persian in medieval times, English, British, and today. Now Sanskrit is becoming a link language. That's why Sanskrit books, Dharma Shastras, Puranas, epics, Vedas, they were written, but they did not survive today. They might have written, but that did not survive. Whatever today we are reading, that is Gupta period. That final composition comes in Gupta time period. Even as of today, 2024, we do not read Gupta. Whatever the original source of Gupta book, we don't read. The ideas got finalized in Gupta, written. Post Gupta also some people have copied. Now by 11th, 12th century, we have a manuscript which was written in 12th century, 11th century. That is the oldest Veda. The original Veda, that means Veda that was written 1000 years ago we have. But the Veda which was written 2000 years ago we don't have, because it's difficult to survive. Ideas promoted something like 100 years ago, there is no computer. But today our information is, everything is in the form of digital. 1000 years ago there was no digital. Now all these Vedas, epics, Dharma Shastras, after 1000 years, people have to rely on digital records only. If hard disk survives, then these hard disks only will help the people who are going to understand about our ancient history from the digital records. So that is how the idea is surviving, but the mechanism, medium to preserve that is keep on changing. Earlier, it's only oral method. Vedas originally oral method. Initially oral. Later palm leaves. Later paper will come. And today digital. But at this point of time, post-Mauryan, these are the two, oral and palm leaves. This with respect to Sanskrit books. Sanskrit became so popular, even Buddhist text also. Buddhism also adapted Sanskrit. There is a famous, important Kanishka poet Ashwagosha. He wrote Buddha Charita, history of Buddha. But in which language? Sanskrit language. It shows the kind of link language. In this context, you can mention about this. The first pure Sanskrit inscription also comes from this area, from this time period. Girnar inscription. Girnar inscription. Rudradaman. First pure Sanskrit inscription given by Rudradaman. One, he's a Shaka ruler. Western Kshatrapas. It shows two things. One is Sanskrit is becoming important. Another one, Shakas adopting the language which is prevalent in this area. Next one, Ashwagosha, Buddha Charita, Mahayana Buddhism. In 4th Buddhist Council, which was held in Kundalwan, 4th Buddhist Council, Buddhism split into two, Mahayana and Hinayana. Mahayana Buddhism adopted Sanskrit, whereas Hinayana Buddhism felt that this is you are Varna Sankara, kind of in Buddhism version. You are polluting original Buddhist ideas. Buddha originally preached in Pali language. It's like today, if you translate into English Vedas, you will not really get the essence. If you read in Sanskrit, you may get different essence. When you translate into English, the true spirit may change depending on the translator. If translator is not good, then the original soul, the original feel of Vedas will miss. That's why some people want to just protect the purity of Sanskrit without any kind of mixing. Mahayana Buddhism wanted to adopt the change. And why English translation is required for Vedas? Because Sanskrit all people cannot read. English many people are able to read. That's why they want to translate. Translation into local language, vernacular language, because many people can read them. But the original purity or original feeling will be there in the original language, always, Sanskrit. So always people will be having this dilemma. If you don't change, your idea will not spread. If you change, the original idea will change. The problem always will be there. Whether to spread to the masses or whether to preserve the original purity. Mahayana Buddhism wanted to spread Buddhism, and it wanted to spread whatever is the language which is popular now, Sanskrit. But some people called Hinayana Buddhism, they want to preserve old ideas and old language, Pali. That is why Sanskrit is becoming link. Now what about here? Sangam. Sangam text also having a Sanskrit culture. Here also Brahmanas are there. Even though Sangam literature is in Tamil language, but there are people who knew Sanskrit, and that's why people are reading Sanskrit, understanding Sanskrit, and translating into Tamil. Next here, Prakrit, Kharavela, Hathigumpa inscription is written in Prakrit language. And same goes to here also, Satavahanas. They patronized Sanskrit. They patronized Prakrit. And even Sanskrit grammar also emerged. Prakrit also continued, Sanskrit also continued. Prakrit, if you remember, there was a ruler called Hala. He wrote Ghada Saptasati. This is a Prakrit work. Prakrit work. Now you see how the importance of Sanskrit is changing. In Kashmir Sanskrit, in Gujarat Sanskrit, in Deccan Sanskrit, in South Sanskrit. Now it is spreading gradually towards Brahmaputra Valley also. By Gupta time period, Brahmaputra Valley becomes important in Sanskrit literature. And even today also, important Shakti temples are there in Guwahati. Kamakhya temple. There is a temple called Kamakhya temple. And Kamakhya temple will emerge during Kamarupa kingdom or by 10th century, 12th century, like that. That is a temple format, but idea is spreading now onwards. Kamarupa kingdom. By Gupta time period, by Gupta, important Brahmanical hold. And the name Brahmaputra, the name indicates Brahmaputra. Brahma is important part of Trimurti. So the name of Brahmaputra itself indicates the influence of Sanskrit there. And many stories are also associated, like by Gupta time period, they will finalize. For example, Shiva hometown is Kailash. He will sit here. And when it comes to Vishnu, Dwaraka, he will sit here. And Brahma, according to this, Brahma sits here. Brahmaputra. That's how you can see how geographically all are integrating. So this is how the culture integrates people. Politically, so many politics are happening. Politically, with different rulers are there, but cultural integration. That's why post-Mauryan time period is something which is connecting all the areas through cultural integration. That's why you can see interaction, so much interaction is taking place. Sanskrit is one such link, is now going towards Kashmir, West, Deccan, Deep South, and entering into Northeast as well. It takes some time. In Northeast, it takes some time. There is a one famous Bhakti saint called Shankar Deva. Shankar Deva from Assam. He's a famous Vaishnavite. Shankar Deva. So that is how Shankar Deva, and some text even consider Shankar Deva as incarnation of Vishnu, or to such level that integration takes place. Education, language, clear? So far clear? This is how in post-Mauryan now foundation is getting laid. There is a question in Gupta time period, whatever development that are taking place in post-Mauryan, sometimes UPSC is connecting to Gupta also. Whatever is happening in Gupta is laid foundation by the post-Mauryan. That's in that way questions are coming now. That's why you have to connect this point. And you imagine later in Pallava's time period, Kanchipuram is going to become important center of Sanskrit education. Later, it's not now. Kanchipuram, important center of Vedic education in Pallava period. How it can become during Pallava time period without having foundation now. So this is how in post-Mauryan time period, it is going to become important link. Vakatakas, after Shatavahanas, Vakatakas, they are Brahmanas, and Sanskrit flourished. In this way, Sanskrit is going to become important link language during this time period. So education we have seen started with Varna, then Varnashrama, then integration of different people, then women condition, then education and family, patriarchal society, tribal integration, and foreign integration. They're all part of this one. So these are the various essential elements. And you can write a special reference to Chandalas, untouchables, living outside village, forced to live in unhygienic conditions, forest or outside village. They were focusing in leather works, removal of dead bodies, taking place. By Gupta period, it is going to become very visible. Gupta, even for foreign traveler Fahian, he clearly explains untouchable practice. Now, this is according to Brahmanical tradition. In Sangam text, there is a different kind of social classification. In Sangam, it is eco-based, ecological. Ecological based. Varna is there. Varna system is there. The new Varna because of the interaction. But it is not dominant. Ecological based social classification or social classification is famous there. Say like some people live in hilly area. They are called hilly people. Some live in plain area. They were called plain people. Some live in coastal area. They were called coastal people. Some live in desert area. They were called desert people. Pastoral grounds. Depending on that, different categories emerged. And this is Sangam classification is important. There is a table. That table, let us identify. They saw in there is one IGNO book. There you will find one table. I am forwarding you in this. I'm putting the chat box. That link you can download. I will show now. This is the book. Now, could you see this? Very clearly given. Regions and their cultures. Different society based on this one. Five. Tinai. Tinai means ecological zones, ecosystem. These are the five. These are the Tamil words. Like we have Sanskrit words, Pali words, Prakrit words, Tamil words. Kurinji, mountainous zone. Mullai, pastoral zone. Riverine zone. Coastal zone. And arid zone. Palai, natal, Mardam, Mullai. Now, if you come down, you make a short notes also from there. It is given. Like this is Kurinji, this is mountainous region. Flora, fauna, settlement, subsistence pattern. Identify the subsistence pattern. Mountainous people hunting of wild animals, gathering of honey, plant produce / burn, then different type of food, people, deity. Deity you see Muruga, the god of warfare. So this is how you need to identify. Next, Mullai. Mullai means a forest zone. Then identify the subsistence pattern, animal husbandry, small scale cultivation. Pastoralist, cowhead, sheephead, and the deity is Vishnu. Sanskrit gods. Murugan is local god. Here Murugan is local god. Vishnu is Sanskrit god. But because of the integration, Murugan is going to become son of Shiva. Shiva comes from Indus Valley civilization, then entered into Sanskrit, now entering into Tamil land also. This is how the integration across times, across geographical location is to take place. Next, Marudam. It is a riverine agricultural zone, plain area, subsistence pattern, agriculture, allied activities, deity, Indra, god of rain. You can see this is geography based. The god who is responsible for rain, important for agriculture people. For war, Murugan, important. Likewise. Next, coastal area. These people depend on fishing, subsistence pattern, fishing, salt collection. Deity, Varuna, god of sea. Varuna is, you remember Varuna, ethical god, cosmic order, water god. Varuna is so powerful. If you commit any kind of sinful act or unethical act, you will be punished. Not only you punish, not only he punish the person, but even the ancestors of those person also will be punished. That's why people used to consider Varuna as very serious god. Palai is arid zone. Highway robbery, subsistence pattern is highway robbery, plundering and cattle lifting. Deity is Koravai, goddess of victory. Goddess like Kali, different Kali. This is how you are going to see different sections of the people and different. Sanskrit Varna is there, but more than Varna, this kind of classification of society is prevalent in Sangam period. So this is how. So it's clear. So we have seen from top to bottom all different social classifications. Now one element which we can identify here is Shatavahanas were the one who started giving land grants to Brahmanas. And they were the one who started this practice. Later in Guptas, many land grants will come. And also post-Gupta, so many land grants that resulted in the feudalism. So you give that last point. And what is the impact on society? That's where we have to understand here. Land grants and impact. Already we have seen, but only as a separate point we are trying to highlight. Shatavahanas are the one Now, if you consider this area, this is Western Ghats, these are Eastern Ghats. It's not as simple as we are drawing the map. In the ground level, there will be so much Godavari, Krishna. These are all mountainous regions. Now, there are so many tribes. Now, when they have given land grants, to whom they gave land grants? Shatavahanas started this practice in Indian history, or at least based on the inscriptional evidence, we are tracing back to Shatavahana period. As a result, what happened? Now, this is a tribal area. Some Brahmanas were given land grants. Now, what they have to do? They have to collect the tax. And if you want to collect the tax, you have to have friendly relationship with them. Friendly relations. And initially, army will be there with you. When you enter into new area, army will be there. But army alone, force alone will not keep the people integrate. That's where now these identify here. Soft power. Soft power through Puranas. Through Puranas, people integrated into the mainstream. Now Shudras, women also allowed to read or to listen to Puranas. To listen to Puranas. Vedas are not allowed. In education system, Vedas are not allowed. That is the word of the God. But when it comes to Puranas, they were created, they were given a natural way of integrating with the mainstream tribal people. And after some time, these tribals also will enter into Varna. And those who have good command over education, some may enter into Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra. But it takes a lot of time. But this is the beginning. In Gupta time period, this integration becomes even more stronger. Because Guptas gave this kind of land grants to many. Suppose if they have given to Brahman, Buddhist, what will happen? The same land, Buddhist monks. And now they spread Buddhist ideas. And now Jatakas. Jatakas are the tools. Now tribes integrated with the Buddhist ideology. That's where Eksha, Ekshini are the tribal ideas. Eksha and Ekshini. They are the tribal gods and goddesses. And you will identify Ekshas, Ekshinis in Purana stories also, Jataka stories also, Jainism stories also. And even in the sculpture also, Sanchi Stupa, for example, on Sanchi Stupa, Ekshas will be
Didarganj Yakshini.
Eksha and Ekshini, yes. Didarganj Ekshini. In Mauryan time period itself, this integration happened. Now it is going to happen even more at a large scale. This is how, even in Mahabharata also, the Dharmaraj integrates with the Ekshas, Eksha Prashna. They are called Eksha Prashna. Because of this only, we are not able to accept the Mahabharata Ramayana stories purely belong to later Vedic period. And there are references that in Mahabharata, in Kurukshetra, Shakas participated, Yavanas participated. Then how is it possible? Later Vedic time period, Mahabharata. And post-Mauryan time period, Shakas and Yavanas, Greeks. But when you read Mahabharata story, it talks about in Kurukshetra, Shakas, Yavanas participated, and obviously they are going to participate on Duryodhana's side, and they are going to be annihilated by Arjuna. This kind of, when you read this, interpretation comes like Mahabharata story is retold. And when it was retold in post-Mauryan time period, post-Mauryan developments also entered into Mahabharata story. Likewise, so many multiple instances will be there. And based on that, it is clear that it's a multiple layers of stories are there. Same goes to Ardhashastra also. The kind of language which uses in some books and in some places, it shows multiple layers. Maurya, post-Maurya, then Guptas, like that. So same is the case with this story also. And accepting this will give a new interpretation for history, that it's all simply, it's a kind of integration simply. Instead of seeing it as something pure, impure format, there is no pure, impure here. Integration is the natural phenomenon. So that's how. And if you observe, is there Islam today? There is no Islam as of now, as of post-Mauryan time period, there is no Islam. But Vishnu, Shiva, they are very famous by this time period. In Kerala, today, there is Ayyappa temple. Ayyappa is considered as an incarnation of Shiva and Vishnu combination, Hindu god. But Ayyappa has a friend who follows Islam. Then how is it possible? That means that kind of narration might have happened after the emergence of Islam. Because Kerala is the first place where Islam comes. It is the first place in South Asia Islam comes. Even first mosque also there. First mosque, Cheraman Mosque. It is called Cheraman Mosque. You apply the same concept to Murugan also. Shiva god and Murugan. Just now we have seen hilly people follow Murugan, and after some time, Shiva and Murugan becomes the same family. This is how the integration. Some integration we have references, literary references, some just memory only. That's why we cannot clearly say at what point of time that integration has taken place. But integration is universal. That is visible clearly. In post-Mauryan time period, that interaction was tremendously has taken place. So with this, we will finish. We have finished the society part. Is it clear how it is interaction taking place? This society apply to Guptas also, same, post-Gupta also apply same, even Turkish people also, Mughals also, the English also. You apply same concept. Only exception during British time period is they did not integrate. They always see Indians as inferior. They themselves consider superior. And that's why a different kind of relationship emerged between British and India. Otherwise, had they been integrated with Indian society, today we would have been seeing a European culture in many places. But that is not the case. They have never done that. That's why we say different history in modern times. But till that time, Mughals, Turks, Hunas, Shakas, Kushanas, they all became part of Indian society like this. In this format, in this structure, keep following from now onwards. Clear? So here we will end this class. Only one aspect, religion, is there. And again, it takes one class properly that I will take on Monday. Okay, we will have on Monday next class. All right then. Revise post Upinder Singh properly. Once you read Upinder Singh, then your post-Mauryan chapter will be completed. Okay. All right then. Monday we will see.